And now we're here. How you doing, folks? I'm Corey Cooker along with Heather Atwood, and we are coming at you from Brothers Brew Coffee Shop in downtown Rockport for another edition of our roaming talk show.
Yes, yes. So, Corey, when was the last time you came to Rockport?
I was here 2 days ago to get a coffee roll and to scout out this location.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
We're over here a lot these days.
I know,
You know?
which is good. It's good to get people from Gloucester to Rockport.
And you're
because
essentially a local. I mean, you're Pigeon Cove, but you're
I'm
here
not,
a lot.
Yeah, well, actually, I was here at Brothers Brew, one of my favorite places on earth, maybe. I've been here for 25 years.
Oh, no kidding.
I used to bring my little kids here, and we would sit at the counter and get donuts before preschool.
Really?
Yeah, and now that little kid is 25 and the other one's 21. So I've been coming a long time.
That's impressive. Yeah, my parents are here at least once a week.
Yeah,
It's
I
like they're home
probably
away
used to
from
see
home.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, every time I come in, Terry Brackett, one of the owners, is always just asking how mom's doing. So
Yeah,
I think she's down and out with the flu actually today, or else they would have been
she's
here.
not coming?
Yeah, she would have been like probably sniffing around.
I don't think we can take her donuts. I think all these donuts are reserved
This
for
is so
our
bizarre.
crew.
Yeah, literally. Ross Brackett was nice enough. They brought out all this food today,
I
and
know.
everyone in the crew has stuck a flag and whatever they love.
I'm fighting Becky for the
I think you
plane.
are.
Yeah, right.
But it's awesome. Yeah,
Oh, we got to divide it in thirds. Jeez, maybe
Now,
they're
if you're not familiar with where we are, we're at 27 Main Street in downtown Rockport, and like we said, we're gonna
best donuts on earth.
They're phenomenal. We've been hearing about this forever. We were going to do a show here last winter, and then we just kind of weren't ready to launch and do the live thing on Facebook too. And so now that we have, now we're here figured out, here we are. We had to make a point to be here.
Yeah, and whenever we need donuts now, we're going to do a show here.
Oh, it's
Right?
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's nice and cozy. So you can actually, if you're out and about right now, you can come down and be part of the show if you want, and come down and get yourself, your coffee, or your donut, or whatever
Or a
else you want.
coffee roll, or a slice of
The
nisu.
skillet breakfast is
Rockport
awesome.
Yeah, right, actually.
Fish cakes, everything. We got 9,000
The
things
breakfast
here.
wrap, that's really good.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, should we talk to Ross?
I think we should ask Ross some questions.
Yeah. Quentin, this is Ross Brackett now, of Brothers Brew and Brackett's.
Yep.
Hey, thanks for joining us, man.
No problem.
This is awesome.
Yeah, so Corey doesn't know the difference between Brackett's and Brothers Brew. I do.
Well, the main difference is one's a full-service restaurant and one's the cafe bar that we have set up. For the restaurant, it's mainly seafood. We do have some, normal American cuisine as well. But and for the coffee shop, we've continued the tradition of the donuts and all the other pastries we'll be displaying later on in the show.
Yeah.
I will add that Brackett's is probably one of America's best views for a restaurant, right?
It is a very good view, yes.
It looks
You cannot
right.
beat the real estate here.
Yeah, it looks right.
I
onto
see it
San-
every day, so it's normal for me.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. It looks right out onto Sandy Bay, and it's a beautiful spot for
Thank
dinner.
you.
But
That's
it's
awesome.
closed in the winter.
It is closed in the winter. We open up, this year we're planning on opening around April 12th.
Oh, nice.
So.
But everyone can come, and this is to Brothers Brew, which is sort of like a hub for Rockport in the wintertime, right?
It has grown to be that, yes.
Yeah.
What's awesome is we were setting up this morning, and we had like 4 or 5 people on the crew helping us with us today, but we had to lug all this equipment in to get ready for the show, and literally people were getting up out of their chairs. Like 15 people came and helped us lug everything in today. So it's cool to just be kind of like the heart of the neighborhood here.
It's a wonderful neighborhood. The whole town's wonderful. The local support has grown over the years significantly, and it's just a great push to get us through the winter especially.
Yeah.
So would you give us a little history of the Brackett family and how long you've been here and how it all started?
I'll start off with my grandfather, who used to be a baker for Lyons, which was a Norwegian Swedish restaurant, the main dining room, and they also had it. They had sandwiches. They had full menu offerings through there too, which we don't know how they did it because of how busy it gets during the summer, but they did. And that's my grandfather was a baker for them, and then for about 3 years, and out of nowhere, they put up a wall and they had the coffee shop, and he's been baking there for 19 years. He did that, and then he sold it to his son Archie. So they're both Archie Rudolph, and he ran it for another 13 years, and that's where me and my brother came in. We took it over, we renovated it a little bit, nothing too big, we kept the bar, that's a favorite, and then where was I here?
But your grandfather was 19 years or so, he's still baking, right?
Yeah.
And then father buys it from him? Or then does it go to the grandsons?
His son bought it from him.
Oh, I got you.
And then we took it over from my uncle.
Yeah.
And then we just renovated it, like I said already. And then we updated everything. We brought the espresso in, the lattes. You've mentioned some of the breakfast items we've been doing. So that's really
And your lunch
push the
menu
business.
got sort of updated too,
We
right?
did, mainly we did, they had the chicken salads, tuna salads. We kind of brought in the turkey sandwiches. The avocado came in. We brought that in to make it a little...
Avocado comes to Rockport.
Yep, avocado.
Well, and I'm guessing the whole menu here sort of just evolved with the times,
It
too.
has, it continues to evolve. The breakfast items we brought up, we just started those last year. The skillets, the burritos. We're still on the fence of going full breakfast, not full breakfast. It's a tough call.
Well, what I love is that your grandfather started cooking in when this was a Swedish restaurant, and there were lots of Swedes in Rockport, and you still make the nisu and the coffee rolls.
We have the nisu and the coffee bread, which is, it's been a staple. People do come from out of town, out of state, out of country, and they ask us about it. And they frequently ask about our grandparents who, they're like, oh, how's that old lady that used to work here? And I'm like, oh, she lives right upstairs. She's still here every day, So
Oh, that's really nice.
It's nice to see the people that remember my grandmother when they ask about her and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool. And I want to get back to your grandfather too. The story about him bringing in donuts.
Yeah, when he first started, Ole and his and them were two separate businesses. So he'd have his little bakery downstairs, and you have to bring them outside in the alleyway. And then he'd bring them in the front door, the donuts, and he only brought in about 6 at a time because his fryer-later was just a small little fryer-later compared to what we have nowadays.
So he was frying 6 donuts at a time.
6 donuts at a time, put them on a
And
tray, then run them upstairs real quick and run back down. And he sold just as many donuts as we do today. So
That's
that was a
amazing.
hustle he used to do there.
Yeah, that's
running up
impressive.
that alleyway.
Yeah. Do people still have their mugs marked behind the counter?
We do not do that.
You don't do that?
When we took over, we did get rid of that tradition.
Well, that's what I remember when I
Yeah.
would sit with my daughters, that there would be, people just kept their mug there.
Oh, no
And,
kidding?
yeah, and they would sit down.
The
and
original Mug Club.
Yeah,
That's
right.
awesome.
Right. Yeah, that was nice. Well, I keep telling people, I think winter in Rockport is one of the most special seasons. And you can park on Main Street for one, and you can get into Brothers Brew, and you can get a donut and a cup of coffee, and it just feels like it's more relaxed, but it's still very social. And this is really the heart of Main Street
It
in
is very
Rockport.
social, the heart of Rockport. People like to say that. I don't really like to say it, but I do appreciate it when they do say that, because it's grown. Like when we first started, this place used to be deserted in the winter, and it just, the support we get is just outstanding through just over the years and everything we do.
Yeah. Now, you were gracious enough to bring all kinds of treats our way. Do we want to start going over some of these things and how they came about and what we're talking about here? Because there's a lot to go over.
I think the most important one is the coffee roll and the nisu.
can do
That's
that
my
for you.
feeling.
Well,
Because
I'll start with the donuts first.
Yeah,
Okay,
go
okay.
right ahead.
For the donuts, we kept most of them the same. Also, with Brothers Brew, I didn't mention that my brother he used to work at the school when he first took over, so for the first 5 or 6 years, he used to be at the school, and he helped on the weekends in the summer, but he recently came aboard and full-time with us now, and that's where some of the new donuts come into play, like the maple bacon donut. He brought
that's
that
a big
in.
one on Facebook.
Yeah.
I know, right?
We have the coconut butter crunch, which is a newer one than the normal butter crunch we have.
Where's the maple bacon?
We don't have any maple bacon today. It's a rare occasion we do. We don't have them every day, but these are the main donuts we have every day.
Okay.
Which is the plain cinnamon butter crunch, glazed, Boston cream, jelly.
The jelly are really delicious too. That, of course, is my favorite one.
Plain one.
Yeah.
I'm surprised how many people like the plain.
I'm the same way.
They
I love
are-
the plains.
They're an art form.
When I first started baking, I used to do a little bit of plain because I'm like, who wants plain? It's got no sugar on it. But everyone likes the plain.
No,
I guess.
it's like this perfect balance of just sweet enough, not too sweet, with black coffee. It's so perfect. Yeah, it's an American thing.
Growing up, when my grandparents would have this, I remember me and my cousins would sit here and we'd pick the crust off the donuts, and then we dip the center of them in the coffees.
That's nice work.
funny.
Yeah, true
That's how
professionals.
I was like, that's different, But we all did it then after that. So
And I think that's all about the crust. That's what's so great, is there's so much crust exposed to that frying, so it's crispy.
Yeah.
It's really
And then
good.
with the mention of my brother, that's where the apple fritters and the coffee rolls came into play that you see here.
These are gorgeous.
He came up with it. Well, he didn't come out. He saw him, and he put his own recipes together. We visited a bakery in North Conway, and he saw the guy doing these, so he's started doing them himself, and they've become quite the favorite among people. So
Well,
are gorgeous.
they are really beautiful. I might have to go from this very plain like almost Spartan donut to that one, that fritter.
And in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, we did talk about getting rid of the donuts.
Oh,
No way.
That was a topic,
Sacrilege.
but we got so much
grief.
grief for
Wow.
that.
How did you even think about
I don't know.
that?
I just thought, me wanting to come into the business wasn't from the restaurant part, but it was from my parents visited Chicago when they went to a coffee show. And they brought home a couple coffee magazines, and I got reading on those, and I was just fascinated with coffee. So like I wanted to just have a coffee-focused cafe, really. But
you
the
do a
rumor
really-
got out, and it wasn't well received. So,
Yeah.
But I will say your coffee is really good, and it's
Thank you.
you've done a really good job.
Right now we're using Hogan Brothers up in Amesbury, but we started off with Black Bear Coffee, which was a little roaster in a little shed he had up in New Hampshire, and we just stumbled upon him. We took down a dirt road in the middle of the woods. We couldn't find him, and finally we found him, and it was wonderful there. But he recently sold it to his brother-in-law, no, his son-in-law, I should say. And they just moved out to Detroit, and they're getting up and running now. So we're gonna start getting back in contact with them.
Black Bear Coffee, you said?
Black Bear, yeah. Now it's called James Oliver Coffee in Detroit.
Okay. Well,
So,
it's delicious. It's
is.
really worth just, if you can't even stop and have a donut, or if you can't stay, run in here and get to go.
Thank you.
You want to bring up the Nisa real quick too? Or?
Yeah, I think we should show
Put
people
this
that.
aside, and the scones, and the monkey bread, and oh boy.
So
Beautiful.
these are the coffee rolls,
These
right?
are like the Norwegian coffee bread we
Coffee
call it,
bread,
and that
right.
started with the Oleanis because they were from Swedish and Norwegian descent, so that's where the Nisu came from. It's mainly a Swedish restaurant, Oleanis was, and the Norwegian coffee bread is obviously part of them too. And my grandfather took over; he just got the recipes and started doing these.
And
as
continues
well.
to do it,
And
yeah.
we don't sell as much as he used to. He used to go through 4 or 5 trays a day. We go through about a half tray now, but
a lot
we
of
also
bread.
don't push it as much as they used to. They used to be the big thing for them, but maybe
I-
after this we'll start
I
pushing it
remember
again.
at holidays, I would be coming in here, like maybe Memorial Day weekend, and people would be ordering pans of
Oh
the
yeah,
coffee
during
bread.
Christmas time,
Yeah.
Thanksgiving time, me and my brother are down there 3 days straight. We're baking away for these breads. So
Yeah, yeah.
You
So
know.
this is a cinnamon. It's basically
cinnamon, cardamom.
Okay.
It's all
also in
twisted.
there. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Both of them have cardamom in it.
Right. Right. And these are delicious toasted, by the way.
Yeah.
The Nisu. Yeah. That's
They
my
are our
favorite.
favorite,
one.
And then we got the scones, which was a newer item we added when we first took over. And I was never, when I thought of a scone, I thought of a dry piece of bread, to be honest. And then I started making them. My dad showed me a recipe, and he started to make that, and I was like, oh, these are really good. I'm surprised more people don't get them, and they've been a pretty good hit too.
Yeah. No, they're delicious. I've had your scones
During the
too.
summer, we sell just as many scones as we do donuts, probably. So.
Yeah. Yeah. They're more of an update, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I may claim
Yeah.
the scone. It's just,
The scones are
there's
really
a fun
good.
factor
They are
today.
good.
They are my favorite. So my favorite's a raisin scone, which doesn't sell as good here, but it's a
I
raisin.
like raisin scones.
I think they're nice. They have a nice, just enough sweetness.
Exactly. They're just a little bit less sweet than the others. Yeah. I like those.
So Ross, what is up for the winter here now? What are your normal hours of operation?
We're here 7 days a week, 7 to 4. We debate, we want to stay open later for the show sometimes, but it's just sometimes the crowd's not there, and just mainly the help. The biggest issue is the help, So if you're looking for a job, let us know. That's one of the, that's the toughest part of the business, the industry. All jobs everywhere, I think, is having some time with help.
Right.
But we keep busy. Like I said, the support through the winter has just skyrocketed from when we first. It amazes me from when we first started. I'll say it again. This place was after 10 o'clock we just stood around in there. We'd close early some days, and now we it goes strong all day. Really.
Yeah, right up until 4.
Yeah.
No, there are people coming in.
So,
Thanks for hosting us today. Thanks for
Wait a
carrying on the
Wait a
family
minute, wait a minute.
tradition.
We
yeah?
also know he does something else in town.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So do you want to talk about your other activities as president?
As president?
I am president of Rockport Exchange as well. I'm not as much as the loop as a normal president would be, but because I run the business here. But we do run the meetings. We have the Harvest Fest, Motif number 1 day we run, which Sarah Kelly should be coming on to talk about all that stuff.
Yeah, she's going to tell us all that. But I did want to mention.
She's really in on that. She started it.
Right,
It's her
right.
child, her baby.
Right. But
Yeah.
so has it been fun for you to see the transition in Rockport to not just your business doing so well, but these festivals just doing
It
fabulously,
has,
right?
the festivals, they get a lot of support, and a lot of people show up, and it just brings a lot of the locals together. I hear a lot about it in the shop. You know, I don't let everyone know that I'm part of the exchange, but you know, they all talk about it. You know, I do little fundraisers here for it just to help out as much as I can. But,
Great. Well, let's have Sarah Kelly tell us more.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
thank
people
you.
want to find you or learn more about you. How can they do that?
Instagram and Facebook, Brothers Brew Coffee Shop.
There you go. Ross,
Great.
thanks for your
Thank
time.
you.
I really appreciate it. Ross
Thank
Brackett
you.
from Brothers Brew. It's beautiful.
Right,
And my
right.
God, I mean, what are we going to do with
It's
this?
pretty hard to sit here and not have something, but I'm going to hold back.
Yeah, we're listening to the crew in our ears all day long
Yeah, right,
about
right.
save that one for me. So,
Right.
all right, coming up next, Heather.
Sarah?
Sarah Kelly returns. You're a repeat guest, Sarah. How are you?
Good. How
Thanks
are you?
for joining us.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Okay, so right off the top, what's the latest? There's always something going on here.
Always something going on. The latest is that we have a Winners Farmers Market. It's back.
Yeah.
It's in, next week, next Saturday, February 8th.
Different location or?
Different location. It's at the old, people who've lived here for a while, they call it, I think, Smith's Lumber. The old 19th century building right at Whistle Stop Market, Whistle Stop Mall. With
The standalone building,
The
right?
standalone
Yeah.
building, yes. So Jay Smith and the Smith family have generously allowed Rockport Exchange to open that back up and have the community in there and have the market
That's a
there.
great spot.
Yeah.
Great parking.
spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be nice.
I think there should always be a market there. Just have to put that on record.
Yes, okay. It's, you heard it
Yeah.
here
Have it
first.
on record.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
That's
here we
right,
go.
that's right. And I think, Melanie, who you all know, I think she's
Melanie
going to come on
Waddell,
maybe
yeah.
later to talk more in detail about the markets and what's happening with that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So Sarah, I would love, you run Rockport Exchange. And if for people who don't know, do you want to list all the programming?
Yes, and I should say that there are other people now involved too. So I don't want to it's not a one-man band here,
Yeah.
thankfully. But yes, so we do. Rockport Exchange does the farmers market in the summer, which runs from June to October, and then it culminates in Harvest Fest, which is a celebration of local food. And yeah, you were
It literally
there.
is,
Yeah.
I think it's my favorite local event in Cape Ann.
Yeah,
is Harvest Fest.
that's
It's
awesome to hear. It's just fun. It's really simple. It's just
Yeah.
about food and music and hanging out. And then we kick off the year with our first event, Motif Number One Day, which is a long-standing event. Rockport Exchange did not start that. It's been around. I don't know. Heather would know probably.
70s, I thought, right?
I think
Longer,
longer.
yeah.
And
Longer,
it's sort of a celebration of the artists here, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's it's kind of hard to know what it is because it's called Motif Number One Day, and it's just such a Rockport-centric thing. But we try to use the opportunity to celebrate Rockport's iconic fishing shack and celebrate the arts. So that's happening in May, and we should say a big piece of that is the race that the school puts on. It's a fun run and
Right.
a 5K, a fundraiser for their wellness programs, and that's an awesome component that they organize by the wellness team at the school.
So, Sarah, I would love for you to just mention briefly, because you're so brilliant at coming up with all kinds of creative twists to these festivals. Where does that come from in you?
Wow, you don't make it that easy.
It's a deep dive this morning.
Exactly. I mean,
If I
really,
start
it's-
crying,
Because she's
then-
on her third Brothers Brew Coffee.
But it's
Yeah.
so original and it's so
Yeah.
thoughtful, and it's really made these experiences unique to Rockport.
Well, I think Rockport's such a unique place, and Heather and I had talked, way back, I don't know, years ago about just the opportunities that are here and how special this place is, and I really think it does sort of inspire. Man, what can we do? Like one of my things that I've never done anything about is these wharves that we have, except for Harvest Fest takes place on T Wharf, but that are so amazing. So you start looking around even at the geography of Rockport, and you start thinking about how unique it is and what can you bring to it that enhances it, doesn't undermine that uniqueness, but actually pulls that out even more. So I think Rockport itself, not to sound hokey, but it's kind of an inspiring place.
Yeah, no, it
Every
is.
time there's an event here, it's like everybody comes out, and that's where the insularity is sort of works to Rockport's advantage. I mean, every
Yeah.
time there's something, it's like it's a full-wide community effort. You can
Even
feel
people
that.
come from out of town to Rockport. for
Oh
these
yeah, well
events.
there's that, but it's
well
just when
known.
you see everybody, all the locals be out and volunteer and be a
Yeah.
part of it and just get involved, it's amazing.
That's sort of the upside. That's true of being sort of at the end of the line, and the insularity is sort of a negative, or we think of it as a negative, but it's also positive,
Oh,
like
yeah, I
you said,
think
when
so.
everybody comes out for these things, and because they're happening, and you're here.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's such a walkable area
Yes,
too.
that's right.
Yes,
you can
right.
go to different places in town and be on the wharf and be up on Main Street or be wherever you have to be.
Yeah.
The
Right.
parks too. So yeah, I love it. I love it all.
Yeah, it's really good, and you've done such a great job with all of it. You really have. It's been So wonderful that Rockport has this tradition now. You've made it a tradition.
Yeah, well, thanks. And I think it was like, you were there for so much of it at the beginning, and you've seen that happen and take place. And I feel like it's kind of started to take off. Like all these younger people now are coming in, the makers, and I know Heather talks about it at Whistle Stop Mall, and it's just in the makers market. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of energy here now, and it's not so much like pushing against sort of a culture of I've never done that before, we don't want to try that.
Right.
It feels different now. Would you say?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it feels like there's been a shift culturally.
Yes.
And people are really, traditionalists and non-traditionalists are really happy about these changes.
Yes, I do think the recent things that have come about are pretty sensitive to the people who were raised here or born here, who came here for peace and quiet. Like, we're trying to have a little bit of both, a little bit of excitement, but also acknowledge this is like a really nice place to live for quiet too.
No, we touched upon the winter market, but when you get into that post-holiday, January to April, some places it's a lull. But are the creative wheels spinning for, geez, what opportunity can we do here and turn this into something else?
My problem is that I tend to always get wound up about possibilities, and then the trick with Rockport Exchange, which Ross has been, I think he mentioned it, has been a huge part of, is building an organization that can sustain it past that initial, it's a great idea, let's do it, and then you get tired of it after a year or two. So, I have simultaneously trying a small group of people trying to do these events and try new things while trying to make it sustainable, and that's the trick. But, so I try to contain myself, but the possibilities are kind of endless. I think a winter, something more in winter, like we had a film festival, speaking of which, it was, or the idea of kind of overextending yourself, it was a great little Red Shed Film Festival, we called it. Love to bring that back in the winter, but we were just too small to sustain that much programming. So we decided to pull back and sit on that for a while, and then maybe there's a new theater coming into town, Cape Ann Community Cinema.
Right.
That's the word on the street. I don't know, you guys probably know where
the wheels are in motion.
Yes, the wheels are in motion. That's the kind of thing that if we could do more partnerships or collaboration, since that's his expertise, Rob Newton's expertise, tapping into that. So we have lots of ideas, but trying to make it manageable is always the trick.
Right. And are you looking for volunteers?
Yes, thank you. That's great.
I knew that.
Yes, exactly. And our annual meeting, speaking of partnerships or collaborations, Rockport Art Association has graciously allowed us the use of their building and museum for our annual meeting on February 11th. So that's a great time to come and learn about the organization and learn about how you can volunteer or get involved in some way, because it's definitely, and what Rockport has is so many great organizations. Like, I know Geof and Celine Lyons, I saw them in the back. They're coming
on next.
Yes, awesome. So many awesome opportunities. So ways to volunteer, ways to get involved, because it is a small group of people trying to do this level of programming, not just in our organization, but all of them is a trick. So thank you for call for volunteers.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate your efforts for sure.
Thanks.
Well, there are a lot of volunteers helping us bring on the equipment today. You might grab them.
I'm going to say, you all can't see how impressive this is, but I felt like I was walking into like a legit studio.
Sometimes that's what we're trying to do. We fake it too.
Right.
We're used to somebody with a podcasting mic, I'm like, oh no, this is at another level.
Well, thanks for joining us again, sir.
Yeah, thank
Always
you for
love
having
talking with you and seeing what's going on in and around town.
Thank you.
So Winter
Sure,
Farmers
see you soon.
Market next Saturday at the old Ace Hardware.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. All right, thank you very much. Thanks for coming to town.
We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much, Sarah Kelly from Rockport Exchange.
There is so much happening in this little town. Right?
It's really, it's pretty impressive when you think
really
about
impressive.
it. For a town of, 7,000 or so people, a little over 7,000, and all the things they have going on here, and it's usually like all hands on deck too, like I mentioned. So Rockport puts on a good show.
Right. And actually all winter long,
Yeah.
there are things happening. And in fact, people think that that there's nothing happening in Rockport, but there is.
Well, look,
Right?
there's a parking situation we need to clear up in here once and for all. But no, I mean, you can park now this time of year without having to pay anything.
So
but
come to Rockport now.
Yeah.
Have a donut, coffee.
now's the time. But we're working on some things.
Yeah, right.
To make it easier
Right.
for you. Hey, you're not going to believe this, Heather. But Valentine's Day is also around the corner, too. And so who better person to talk to than our next door neighbor here from Brothers Brew, about Laurie Tuck from Tuck's Candy and Gifts.
Hello, how are you
Laurie?
today?
Hi,
Good.
Laurie.
Grab a seat there. Great to see you again.
Good to see you too.
I haven't seen you since Rockport Elementary School. But it's
Right.
great to see you again.
Good to see you
Yeah.
too.
So what's the latest? Well, the holidays must have been
The holidays
crazy, right?
were crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We survived.
How many candy canes did you sell?
It's funny, if you'd asked me that a week ago when I was going to the Christmas in Rockport meeting, I would have had the number.
A lot.
I mean,
A lot. Over 150 of the chocolate, probably closer to 200.
Wow.
wow.
The large ones that we have, and actually we still have one left.
Oh!
Of the 18-inch ones, I can go get it after
Can you run?
we
We'll
finish.
wait
You
for
should,
you.
because people need to see how beautiful they are. They're the most
That's
beautiful
true.
candy
I have
canes.
one large and one chocolate left.
All right. We need
All
to
right.
feature that with the donuts at
That'd
the
be
end of the
great,
show. Yeah.
I will bring them back.
Okay, all right, good. They're hand, how do we say, hand spun, how do
I
you
know,
make a
we
candy
can't say
cane?
hand dipped, which is what we use for a lot of our things. They're
No.
pulled, I guess.
Pulled, yeah.
Because it's similar to making taffy, I understand.
Okay.
The neatest thing, though, is that you can watch them being made in December. Of course, it's the wrong time to tell people that.
No, it's true, but is it,
Saturdays, it's really neat. The factory opens the back door, and you can go in and watch them make the candy canes.
Yeah,
The
they're
ribbon
beautiful.
candy is my favorite because they swirl it.
Yeah, that's really cool
Yeah.
looking. It was just always on my grandmother's, in a dish somewhere at my grandmother's house. Ribbon
the ribbon candy?
I just didn't know it was decorative, you could eat it. I was terrified of it.
Because it looks fragile and
Well, yeah.
shiny and beautiful.
And not like, I'm not supposed to bite that.
Yeah.
You did. It's good.
Do you need ribbon candy to bite? Because I have that too.
Oh, yeah, really?
Oh, bring some ribbon
I'm
candy.
easy.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah. But before we get into Valentine's
Yes.
Day, would you tell us a little bit about your family business, because you've been there for a few generations?
91 years in February.
Okay, let's hear it for Rockport
Seriously.
businesses, right?
Cheers to that.
Yeah.
They opened in February, so they were ahead of the big crash of 1929.
Oh, right.
Wow.
But
Good timing.
they survived.
So what made them, and they opened a candy shop?
They opened, yes, the candy shop first. It was opened by twins. And one of the funniest parts of the story, or the part I love, is that they opened it in their dad's, on the bottom floor of their dad's second floor dental business. He was the town dentist.
That's savvy.
That's really funny.
That's
Yeah.
in one door,
that's really
in one
funny.
door and out the other, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think he'd walk them through the candy store and give them a lollipop after they had their teeth.
Savvy dentist, yeah.
That's good thinking.
Yeah, very smart.
Yeah.
So, and this is your family opened it, right?
My husband's family.
Your husband, oh, okay. All
And
right.
they were, so it was opened by twins. And the candy started first, and then when George Tuck, the twin of the candy maker, Walter, graduated from pharmacy school, the pharmacy part opened. And so it was a pharmacy and a candy store, I believe until about the 70s, when individual pharmacies just couldn't make it anymore.
Right, right.
So the pharmacy was closed, but it went through a lot of changes in between.
Yeah.
They had an ice cream fountain, and I guess they sold sandwiches, and so
Always newspapers, I think, right?
I believe.
Do you guys
always
still sell newspapers? It
We
seems-
do.
Yeah.
All that
yeah.
Norman Rockwell stuff was happening.
Exactly.
here.
Yeah, right in that
Yes.
little tux.
Yes.
I know.
Actually, we have some Norman Rockwell puzzles, I believe.
Oh, there you go.
Everything is Norman Rockwell about that little store.
Well, that's the thing about Tux too, is you have thousands and thousands of gifts in there as well. It's
We
not
do.
just the candy.
We
yeah.
do. We do.
So
Yeah.
and now with Valentine's just around the corner, what are some of the more popular items that you see?
One of the things that I didn't understand at first that has been really popular is we sell these itty bitty charms for people to carry around. And one of the ones we have is a red rose. And this is what the rose looks like.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh.
Let
We
me
have-
see if David can pick this up at all.
That's so pretty. I'm going to read this.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the red rose charm. A rose is a symbol of love, so I give this rose to you because you have my heart and my love is pure and true. Keep this rose as a reminder of a love that's never ending. May your heart be filled with warmth and the love that I am sending. Okay, so I have to get this for my husband, right? This charm may be carried in a pocket, held, or placed on a shelf. That is very sweet.
They are wonderful.
Yeah, that
We
is
have
really sweet.
a lot of charms throughout the store and a whole display. And people always say, will it go on a charm bracelet? And no, but they're pocket charms.
Yeah. Oh,
And so you
it's-
carry it in your pocket or your change purse, and when you get your change or put your hand in your pocket, you remember who gave it to you. That is really a fun
really
thing.
sweet. So are there other ones besides roses?
Oh, there are tons.
Oh, okay.
My favorite is pizza. And it talks about how cheesy you are.
geez.
You're my piece of the pie. But each little card has its own story.
Yeah, yeah.
And just a fun thing to have.
Interesting.
It's a fun, interesting little gift.
I bet the pizza one is really popular, actually.
Yeah, that's the one I show people the most.
That's very
So you
cute.
don't always have to get hung up on the heart-shaped box or the saltwater taffy box, but there
Don't.
is that
They
too,
don't.
plenty of
There
that.
is, in fact, here's one
Hey,
of our big
now we're
ones.
talking.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. Can we
Look at
open
that.
it up?
Sure,
Don't
but you'll
get
be
fresh,
disappointed.
Heather.
All right. But it's such a beautiful thing.
Well,
gorgeous.
actually, you should open it up because one of the things I love most about our store
Yeah.
is that you can pick and choose which candies you want to put
Truffle,
in your box.
truffle. Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that's
That's
beautiful.
nice. That's
and
pretty.
doesn't everybody want that heart? Like, even if you don't want to admit it, you want the heart-shaped box.
It's yes
Right?
and no. It's going down. I do
Oh,
have.
you're not
some
selling
This
as
of
makes
our
me
many?
think of my
boxes.
Kentucky
These
Derby
are all
hat,
put
Laurie, as a
together.
matter of fact.
We have all different sizes of sugar.
Oh, look at this.
And these are
These are
pre-organized.
pre-done with our chocolates and some of our Swiss. You can-
Soft cherry
Sorry, I
centers.
should have pulled this out, sorry.
That's the labels you mean? But we need to know.
You need to know that there was.
This
So
one is
the-
soft,
Jeez.
chewy centers.
Yeah, and Laurie, you doing a lot of online?
We not so much for Valentine's.
Oh yeah,
At
there's
Christmas
always
we do a lot
Christmas
of
crazy,
online.
worldwide.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's one thing about
These are
Valentine's
beautiful.
and online. It's really hard to mail these boxes.
Oh, no kidding.
So we encourage people to. A lot of people like the boxes, but more people like the candy that's inside. So the candy will go inside a traditional box that'll mail quite safely.
Well, there
So
you
this
go.
is just a wacky shape.
It's just a wacky
That's
shape.
the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
We gotta
Yeah.
talk to our friends at the post office about that.
Right? They need to come up with
Yeah,
express mail.
there's an
heart-shaped,
opportunity there
right?
somewhere, yes.
There's an
Exactly.
opportunity.
Beautiful, Laurie.
But
Yeah.
the other one thing we like to say is you can get all that you need because we sell cards as well.
I think you have the largest selection of hallmarks right in all of Cape Ann.
Probably we do.
Yeah.
Oh, these are
These
so
two
pretty.
are by a local photographer.
Yes, we love that too.
Yeah,
Always a
Sue
local
White,
touch on
who's
the
just
flair.
down the
Right.
street.
Yeah,
Yep.
right.
The heart
These-
of roses and sea glass.
Oh,
of
that's
those.
really nice. I like the sea glass one.
And of course, no Valentine's gift is not complete without the little sweethearts.
Of
Oh, of
right.
course.
Yes.
Oh,
And not
socks.
only do we have them in the traditional candy, but socks.
That's
of course.
great. I love that. I'm free. I'm free.
Free.
That's really funny. Beat it. Oh, those are very cute. Those are very cute. Yeah.
That's awesome. So now,
Yeah,
Laurie,
fun.
for people, if they want to learn more about Tux, how can they do that? And what are your hours now throughout the winter?
Okay, so we are open 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday, 12 to 5 on Sundays. But on the 12th, 13th, and 14th of February, we'll stay open till 6.
I think it should be.
So
I think it should be
people can come in.
24/7 for that.
Yeah, right.
cycle. I'll pop in 3 a.m.
Who's gonna?
Yeah, wouldn't it be fun to have a webcam out there? Like all the husbands and
Boy, asking
boyfriends.
for trouble out
yeah,
there.
right?
That could be pretty good.
Yeah.
Can I share one more thing?
Please do.
Of course.
One of the things that we have is a big music section because there's so many. I mean, I was a music teacher, still am
That's
a music
right.
teacher.
That's right.
Yeah.
But heart mugs
Oh, that's very
with
These
the
are
notes,
great.
eighth notes.
And I
Yeah.
noticed you have
Jeff
a lot more
Lyons.
musical stuff there once the Shell and Lou opened up as
Right.
well. It just
yes,
made sense.
we did. When Shalyn Lou opened, we have different people will come in. I think my favorite story is one of the roadies from Celtic Sojourn in December.
Yeah.
He had taken the extra show coming to Rockport, and his wife wasn't happy, and she was a flute player. And he came in and found flute earrings. And he was so thrilled to bring such a special gift home to us.
You can do
That's
that at
really
Tux.
nice.
You can do
yeah,
that.
exactly. Exactly.
Well, Laurie, it's great catching up with you.
Great
Thank
to
you
catch
so
up
much.
with you
This
too.
is gorgeous.
Thank you for
Yeah.
inviting me on the show.
Always,
I will
always.
be
Yeah, we'll be
back in
back.
a
We'll be
few
hitting you up
minutes.
soon. We'll be visiting
Yeah,
as
bring
well.
the candy cane.
I will bring the candy canes.
Yeah.
And don't
Yeah,
forget,
I can-
folks, Valentine's Day is
And
right
you
around the
can fill
corner.
your own boxes. Choose
Exactly.
your-
Make a
That's where
trip
it
to
is.
Rockport. Stop at Tux. Get a cup of coffee at Brothers Brew on the way.
1623 should have our own tote bags too. I keep saying this.
Yeah.
Talk to me because
Oh, they always the opportunist, Laurie time.
the
Yeah, you know
company we
someone who
got
knows
these
someone?
from. No, it's not. It's my sister did research and found us an amazing price.
Oh,
so I would
good.
recommend the
They're
company.
nice bags.
They do.
They are.
And they double as your grocery bag.
They do. They
Right?
last forever. And
Yeah.
you can tell everybody.
Exactly.
Thanks, Laurie,
So,
for joining us.
thank you very
All right, we'll
much.
see you soon,
Thank you
and
so
happy
much.
Valentine's
Happy
Day. We'll see you
Valentine's
before
Day
then,
to
of
you, too.
course.
Yeah. I'll be in there.
Cheers
Yeah.
to that. Laurie Tuck from Tux Candy and Gifts. 91 years in business.
Isn't that amazing?
That's pretty awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
1929, just
Right.
before the market crash. And look
Right?
at them today.
Who says retail is dead?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah, it's thriving in Rockport.
Those are some pretty gifts, too.
No. Oh, they're beautiful.
All right.
Oh, wait. We still have her charm, but
So we have that.
well,
Oh, that's fine. You can give that to her.
here you go, Laurie. Those are
Thanks,
so sweet.
Laurie. Is Geof next?
I think so. I think
right.
I want to introduce the fact that everyone thinks Rockport is all about Shale and Lou and Rockport music,
Mm-hmm.
but right across the street from the Shale and Lou is an amazing music institution
This is true.
that has performances almost all year.
Yeah.
Right?
The old Sloop Coffeehouse.
The old Sloop Coffeehouse. So
Yeah.
we're now going to have Geof Lyons join us.
Come
Hi,
on in,
Geof.
Geof. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How
Great
are
to
you?
see you.
Great to see you
Thanks
too.
for spending time with us.
It's nice to be part of Now We're Here. Now we're here. It's nice to be. Always nice to be at Brothers Brew, and Ross did not pay me to say that. Thank you for
But
your
they would
nice
anyway.
introduction.
Yeah.
So you and your wife Celine have been running Old Sloop Coffeehouse for how long now?
We are in our 11th season now.
Wonderful.
We have done 123 concerts over 11 years.
And will you describe to us the venue and what kind of a musical event it is?
Sure. It was begun in 2009 by the Congregational Church as a project of the church, as a thank you to the community, which has really supported the church tremendously with funding for restoration and preservation of the sanctuary building, which was built in 1804 and needs constant work. It's a good quality, we hope, professional production of great musicians, but we try to preserve a really friendly, informal vibe. It's a mixture of the people who come are a mixture of local people and fans of the musicians who appear for us. So we have people who know the space and people who know the musicians, and they all have something to contribute. People speak with one another at intermission, people speak with the artists at intermission. So it's a very friendly kind of feeling.
Why do you love what you do?
Why do I love it? I love the music. That's the first thing. It's great to do something for the community too. It's a wonderful community. It's wonderful to be able to do something that people appreciate. We pay our musicians fairly, but otherwise we try our best to keep ticket prices as low as we possibly can. We do everything we can to make the concerts accessible to everybody. The church takes no money from these concerts at all. The coffeehouse itself takes a little bit just to replace broken equipment and that sort of thing.
Well, so from what I understand, you and Celine have a real network at this point of nationally known, mostly folk artists and some soul and blues. Did you know these? Did you appreciate this music before you started this? And was this something that you already followed?
I like all kinds of music. I play trombone myself, and my own background is more in classical music, but I've been aware of folk music and was a big rock and roll fan for years too. So we knew something about them, but really we learned more about this once after we started the venue. We do a lot of work to try to keep track of up-and-coming musicians. We just came back from the Folk Alliance International Conference, which was in New Orleans this year.
That wasn't any fun.
That was not much fun at all. It was wonderful, just non-stop music between what goes on in the city and what was going on in the conference itself.
Any names that we would know who are performing there?
Probably. Let me think. Well, let me mention some names that we thought might be interested in following
Better.
up with.
Yeah, better.
There's a young man named Trey Bure, who was recently signed to John Prine's record label, who's up and coming, and he was really, really terrific. So he's somebody we're going to be following up with. There's a Canadian singer-songwriter named Catherine McClellan that we've known about for a few years, but we saw a full set of hers, and she's just wonderful too. And then we also saw a full performance by Elisa Amador, who's from Boston. Paradoxically, we go to New Orleans to see Elisa perform. Her parents make up a duo called Soli Canto, so they're pretty well known in the Boston area, but she's terrific, and she's also very much on the rise.
So when you look at a season and you're looking at these artists and you're inviting them to Rockport, are they anxious to come? Do they know about the Old Sloop Coffeehouse? Is it something that these artists are wanting to do?
Most do.
Yeah.
We receive a lot of performance inquiries. We probably receive 1,000 performance inquiries in a year. Wow. We do 10 to 12 concerts, each of which can have at most 2 performers, so we say no a lot. But we also go out and look for people who haven't heard haven't heard of us before. The Folk Alliance International attendees don't know also the Coffeehouse, so those are all new people to us. So it's a mixture.
Yeah, yeah.
We also try to mix up local performers, people from Cape Ann, people from the Boston scene, which is wonderful, and touring national and international touring artists.
Right. Well, I've been to a couple of these concerts, and I have to say how much, they're different from the Shale and Lou in that it's a much homier environment, but it's the fellowship hall at the Congregational Church, and folding chairs, but the acoustics are wonderful, and there's dessert and coffee.
We joke that all the desserts are donated by parishioners, and we joke that the desserts are as much of a draw as the music for many of our patrons.
I think so.
We watch people come in, and there are two groups of people. Some people head directly to the seats to pick out their seats, and other people head directly to the kitchen to get their dessert.
Right, right. It's such a sweet tradition, right? Well, literally, I guess. But to have this, live music and dessert and coffee. I don't think that happens too much anymore.
So what do you have lined up for Old Sloop this winter?
We have, our next concert is February 28th, and the performer is Runa, which is just a terrific Celtic music band. The people in Runa are Shannon Lambert-Ryan, who's from Philadelphia, and her husband, Finan Dabara, who's from Dublin. He's a terrific guitarist. He played with Riverdance. He's played with all the well-known Irish performers. We've had them 4 times before. This will be their 5th performance for us, and we love them. They're good friends. They've done very well. This is the smallest venue that they ever play, and they do it as a favor to us, not because it's a good step for them.
Well, they must love the venue, of course.
Yeah.
It's really fun to have people like that. We have a number of people like that who are doing it because they like us. They've been doing it for a long time.
Well, I listened to Runa's video, Dance in the Graveyard,
Yep.
and I have to say, I think I have to get tickets because they were, it was just, kind of modern Celtic to me, but really enjoyable to listen to. Yeah.
After Runa, we have Martin Joseph, who has been called the Welsh Bruce Springsteen, a wonderful singer-songwriter.
That's not a good way to sell anybody. Yeah, right.
His songs are sort of protest songs. He also runs a charitable foundation, so he's very much into liberty and helping people out. Activism, yeah. But his performances are very energetic, a la Springsteen.
That's great.
And opening that concert is going to be Antje Duvakat, who is a Boston singer-songwriter who's also performed for us a number of times before. She's opening as a favor to us because she and Martin are good friends. She'll be back in June for her own concert.
That's
beautiful.
Wonderful. Yeah.
So is there anything else you want people to know about the Old Sloop Coffeehouse that maybe you haven't touched upon here? How they can get involved? Do you need help at all?
We always need help.
Yeah.
And Celine and I do far too much of the work ourselves. We have a small committee that helps us. We'd love to have more people who participate in some of the administrative management level stuff and also provide input. We'd like to have more ideas about performers who should appear for us. And then there's tons of volunteer work for everything from setting up the sound system to moving the chairs to cleaning the place up afterwards.
Yeah.
So if people want to help out, how can they do that? How can they find or contact you?
They can visit our website at oldsloopcoffeehouse.org. There is an email address, which is info@oldsloopcoffeehouse.org, that they can write to.
And they can also find all the programming for the upcoming year on that website too,
Yes,
right?
it's on that website.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Jeff Lyon, thanks so much for spending time with us.
You're very welcome.
And thanks
It's great
for-
the
Catch
opportunity.
up. Yeah, we definitely will have you back. Actually, I think sometime we should do one of these at the Old Sloop Coffeehouse.
Right?
If you'll have
Yeah?
us.
That
What do
would
you
be
think?
great. That would be
Right?
wonderful.
Just
You're
before
welcome
performance?
anytime.
Yeah, that's great.
love
Thank
that.
you.
You're
Have a
welcome.
great
Thank
day.
you. Thanks, you
Yeah.
too.
Well, thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff Lyon from the Old Sloop Coffeehouse. That was nice.
Right?
Yeah, he's
There's
a great
so
guy.
much happening in this town.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that.
Yeah, and there actually is something going on. I think there's a film festival at the Sloop Coffeehouse tomorrow called The
see?
Clements. I think there's 8 area filmmakers who have little short films playing there tomorrow night if you want to get involved there too.
Well, Runa, February 28th. I can't tell
You're
you.
in?
I'm in, yeah. And then the Welsh Bruce Springsteen. Who doesn't want to see him?
Well, that's actually that's my interest too.
Right?
That'd
Yeah.
be pretty badass.
Yeah.
So all right.
So I think we have some live Rockport music.
This is
coming
so
up.
great.
Right? I
Yeah.
know.
Jake Pardee is joining us, man. What's up?
Hey.
How you
Jake.
doing?
This is a cool format.
Yeah.
Right?
Thanks for joining us, man.
Good to see you.
Thanks
Yeah.
for being here.
Yeah, of course.
Who are you, Jake?
Let's get to the bottom of that.
That's right.
Well, I'm going to say he used to be my neighbor.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
right.
when he was just a little boy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You heard me playing throughout the years, I'm sure.
Certainly did.
We
It
had
was
glass
fabulous.
windows all in the front of the house, and I had a lot of pretty big amplifiers, so.
Yes, but Jake's family lived on the hill across the street from us, and they have a big house with a big front porch, and sometimes you played on the porch.
Yeah?
And
Okay.
that was
For
fabulous,
sure.
yeah.
I'm glad it didn't bother you too much.
Oh, never.
Where did the love of music begin for you?
Oh, well, my brothers and I had been playing music since we were little. My parents are really big music fans, but we just kind of all got instruments when we were little, and we played in the school band and learned to read music along the way, but mostly it was guitars and jamming at home. My mom started playing piano a lot more when we were little, and we all kind of did it as a family, so, and we've all stuck with it. Me and my brothers, we all played, so.
So you went off to music school, right?
Yep, I went to Berklee College of Music.
And then
Yeah.
returned to Rockport,
Yep.
and now you have a studio?
Yeah, I have a recording studio in Peabody called the Maritime Music Studio. So that's like a full service studio. I record local bands and my own music, and I teach guitar lessons.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So how would people find that if they want lessons, if they want to use your studio?
They can reach out to me. We're on Facebook Live, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you can reach out to me.
Yeah.
For sure.
Literally, like right now.
You'll
Jump over
find
to
me, yeah.
Jake Pardee's.
If you just type in Jake Pardee and music or anything, you'll find me, and that's probably the most direct way to find me.
Hey, Jake, let me ask you, how does like growing up in an area like this shape your music at all?
Well, in some ways, it's kind of interesting to not have a specific kind of music that you feel like comes from Rockport, because a lot of people, if you grow up in Ireland or you grow up in Jamaica, like a lot of artists I work with, there's a distinctive sound of the music that they come from, you know, of their culture. And I always thought that Rockport didn't necessarily have its own thing until I got older and realized that there's a lot of songwriters here, and Alan Estes' show, you know, and he showcases so many of them, and you realize that there actually is a great folk scene. There's a great tradition of playing rock and roll and blues, and especially Boston. There's a lot more going here than I thought that there was when I was little. So growing up, I didn't appreciate it until I actually became more a part of it, and then realized that there's a pretty established culture here.
Yeah,
which
and a
is
lot of amazing venues around the area too that you can perform.
Oh yeah, I mean the bar scene that we started playing as teens, you know, we still are very active in, and lots of people come and support it. So we're kind of fortunate to have that thriving music scene around here. That's a lot more than I grew up thinking it would be, which is cool.
And you're playing tonight, right?
Yep, I'm playing at the Fish Shack right down the street. And,
In Rockport?
Yep, right here in Rockport. And
That didn't used to happen.
Yeah.
Like live
Oh, no.
music in a bar down the street in Rockport.
Well, yeah, the live music on its own, but now that you can drink and
Yeah.
check out live music, it makes it a lot more enticing for people to come out in
The way
January.
things were meant to be.
Yeah. And Pierre Ave will be playing the Shaylin Lou upstairs
right.
on Main at the beginning of March. And my bandmate from Pierre Ave, Chris Fritz-Grice, will be playing at the Fish Shack next month.
Great guy.
So, you know, there's a lot of things going
Nice,
on
yeah.
between the old Sloop and, you know, everything.
It's kind of
great.
amazing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
So what do you be performing for us now?
I've got an instrumental tune that I'm going to play first, and this I think just kind of fits the cafe vibe that we've got going on. So I'll just launch into it here.
Yeah, take it away, Jake Pardee. nice, Jake.
Beautiful.
It's kind of nice for the scene.
That was appropriate, yeah.
Yeah. Perfect cafe vibe.
Great.
Will you do us a huge favor and come back and do something else
Yeah,
for
I
us?
think I'll sing one on the next time.
Perfect.
Nice, nice.
Cool.
All right, we'll
Jake
finish
Pardee,
with you.
folks.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Oh, we love you being here.
I love the
Yeah.
color of these chairs.
Yeah, I blend right in sometimes. That's cool.
Wasn't that nice?
Yeah, it was really nice.
A local musician.
What? Oh, Laurie tucks back with,
Thank
she
you.
brings
It
gifts.
took me a little bit to get back here.
That's
Yeah.
all right.
So
Who?
there is our large candy cane.
Can everybody see how beautiful that is?
It's ridiculous.
And handmade in Rockport.
Handmade in
right down the
Rockport.
street.
And this is the last chocolate-filled candy cane.
Those
we
are awesome. I
have.
do one of those every year.
Yeah.
That's a lie. I keep one in my
The
glove
green
box.
is how we denote the difference between the regular candy canes and the chocolate filled.
Yeah, I'm a purist.
I will tell you what. This
I-
reminds me of my years as a bad stand-up comedian. Because this happened
Oh,
to
really?
me more than one occasion. That's it, folks. You're out. Oh yeah.
That's very
You
funny.
want to add those to your...
We will
Oh, yeah.
definitely, yeah,
Please.
right
Oh, my
here.
God.
Thank you. So everyone should remember to come back at Christmas
Right.
for the Tux
Just
candy
a few months
canes.
down the line. but
It's just
yeah.
a little bit, yeah.
Our last guest today should be a
very
dentist. Well, thanks, Laurie.
Thanks,
That was very
Laurie.
awesome.
Thanks for
Yeah.
coming
Don't
back.
forget talks, folks.
Yeah. So I think next we have someone who's going to talk to us.
Let's hope so. Oh, so anyway, if you're just tuning in, we're at Brothers Brew Coffee Shop in downtown Rockport. For now, we're here. I'm joined by Heather Atwood, as always, and our next guest is Heather.
Heidi Caswell-Zander. She is the president of the Rockport Art Association.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, Heidi.
Thanks for joining us, Heidi.
Thanks so much for being
Yeah.
here. So it's so fun because we're at Brothers Brew. We've spoken to the old Sloop Coffeehouse, which is right across the street. We've spoken to Tux, which is right next door. And now we have the Rockport Art Association, which is across the street and a little to the left, right? So all the neighbors,
Yes, well, Rockport definitely has a lot to offer.
right?
And it's really nice to be here in the winter and seeing so much activity too, which is seeming to be more and more.
Yeah, that's a great point. Heather brought that up at the top of the show, what Rockport's like in the winter.
Yeah, I
It's
love
gorgeous
Rockport in the
out
winter.
It's
And-
beautiful.
Yeah.
I actually found just a few days ago, Hibbert had written a poem that was in the Boston papers about winter in Cape Ann and how some people pack up and go away, but it's really so beautiful, and he describes what it's like here with the whites, all the colors are painted with.
Oh, I'd like to see that poem. Yeah.
So now, Heidi, for those who don't know the basics of what the Rockport Art Association Museum, can you just tell us a little bit about that?
And the origin story, too.
Yeah, so Rockport became a place for artists to come up from New York especially, and they were people who were often graphic designers, and as they migrated north, first they were in Connecticut, so you have Old Lyme and places like that, and the more that people went there, they found that they wanted to have something that was even more authentic. And Cape Ann, because of the fishing industry and the branded industry, was a place that artists really found that they loved. And I think the other thing that's special here is the light, because we're on an island.
I always hear that. That's the most alluring
Yeah.
thing to.
So I've lived abroad, I've lived in Italy, I've lived in Germany. I grew up here. So when I was 7, my dad bought the country store on Bearskin Neck. So I actually was here when sort of the tail end of that generation was still here, like Hibbert. So you had the artists who were coming here in the 20s and using the fish shacks as their galleries
On Bearskin Neck.
on Bearskin
Yeah.
Neck. So the country store even, I think, was a barn, and Hibbert used that for a studio for a while.
Wow.
And
Who were some of the artists who you remember besides Hibbert?
I remembered Hibbert, Otis Cook, John Cicciotti, Sam Cody, Hibbert,
Yeah.
and Stilson. And Betty Lou Schlimm when I was a child, and Terrelak. So John Terrelak was just beginning to teach workshops and was a young fella. So when I was 9, he let me be with his adult groups. So that was a great memory of me because I was kind of like scurry behind them trying to keep up. And then Betty Lou, she was painting, and people came from all over the country here to paint. She did weekly workshops that would start at 9 in the morning, but she opened her house at around 6:30. And people would paint all day, and then the last day of the week on Friday, there'd be a huge lobster bake.
Wow, that must have been so
And
much fun.
Art here, and what I see more in Rockport now, is a growing community again. Like you're saying, we've got the old Sloop, and you've got the Art Association, the music. And so people, I feel like, as a community are connecting again in a way that maybe they didn't 20 years ago. And I think that's what drew people to Rockport. Once you had the first few artists, they were getting together. So the Art Association in 1921 was formed by Hibbard and Vincent and Stevens and Strizik and Sereno are some of the people.
And these were basically, this was a foundation of what I understand is called the Cape Ann School of Landscape Painting. Is that right?
So there is a Cape Ann School of Painting, and at the core of our artist members really is traditional plein air painters who go outside and paint from what they're experiencing, and then often take it inside and work on it and refine it.
And that's what these artists were doing, the ones who were coming from New York and settling
They were painting
here?
out plein air, so it was
Yeah.
a Cape Ann School of using the light and the landscape. And there, if you look through different books on Cape Ann painting, you will see that they're revisiting sort of the same places even now. So there's Bass Rocks, there's certain rocks that are almost like characters that artists are just drawn to over time without even knowing it.
Yeah.
And you have special light and window sheet, and then motif number one, and I remember that also as a child was very rustic. And you still had some of the boats that were going out and using a sail as an augmentation to be able to get in and out. So they were very beautiful.
So you had the motif and a sailboat passing by, is that right?
No, they were fishing ships.
Yeah.
That still had like a sail on the back of the ship.
Okay. But
And so they had masts, and they were wooden.
so artistically, it was just more. It was more than just the motif. Is that what you're saying in the
Yeah.
painting? Yeah.
And then you had the fishermen there and all the traps. The traps were wooden back then. So you had the really old ones were half round.
Right.
And then they made a modification to make them square, which was easier. And nowadays we have the square ones, but that are made out of metal and plastic.
true.
So that's one of the things in painting I find really interesting. And when I was first being a painter myself, I didn't know why it was so important or how you could justify it. But they're historical documents.
It's true,
So more and more I
right?
see, nowadays we have plastic skiffs. There's hardly any of the wooden skiffs left. And they get a patina and the wood and gets the different layers of paint. And you have also, going way back, Hassan painted on granite pier.
Childa Hassan.
Yes.
Wow.
So in one of the Cape Ann painting
Very
books,
famous Boston painter, right? Yeah.
and from my time in Germany too, I've seen that Corinth painted here, who was sort of equal in respect and honor in Germany as the king or Kaiser. And so we had seen an auction, a painting by his wife of granite pier. So people came from all over the world to paint here, and that was even, sort of ahead of that major flush of people into here from New York.
I'm going to tell you a quick story. I was in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I walked into a hardware store. The owner asked me where I came from. I told him Rockport. He said, now I have to take you upstairs. And upstairs in this hardware store were a bunch of paintings because his grandfather was one of the founders of the Rockport Art Association.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was all these Rockport schooners and Rockport Harbor. It was really amazing. Ann Arbor, Michigan. So those painters have traveled and the iconography is out there in the world, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember too that there used to be placemats when you traveled throughout America that were the motif number one, and I don't know if people really even knew where that was. And Disney had made us famous because in the 70s they did a panoramic video, and one of the places they went into was Rockport Harbor, a 360 view.
Oh, interesting.
And you saw the motif, and I think a lot of people saw how beautiful it was and came here, and it showed artists. So that also happened to bring people to Rockport.
Yeah.
So the Art Association started in 1921, so we'll be having our 100th anniversary in another year.
Yay,
big,
so
yeah.
exciting. So
And-
what's on the calendar for that?
So for the 100th, we're trying to pull together our creative community and showcase our artist members that are juried in. We also have a collection of over 600 paintings that we're going to have on view more and more.
Oh, that's great. I would love to see that.
Because we have some
more on view.
wonderful paintings, and so we have a new director, Jim Craig, who is really passionate about showing our collection and being a museum.
That's great.
And we're working so that we really will be here in 100 years. So we celebrated in the fall. Chris Pittman is one of our members. She's turned 100. And Bruce Tarr came and he said, I hope in 100 years another Tarr is celebrating one of your members.
That's very funny.
That's great.
It could happen too. Those Tarrs have some longevity, right?
So we're looking to just really be what we are. And for me, it's a part of being a chain to the past, a link in that, so that we're really respecting everybody who made it happen in 1921 and showing their work. And also the Cape Ann tradition of plein air painting. And what we've been doing too is increasing the inclusion of other types of art. So some modern work, more expressionistic, impressionistic. And we had our first national show this past fall called the RAM National. And we had people submitting and hanging their work from Washington State to Florida to Illinois. And we hung, I think, over about 160 pieces. And we had jurors from Arizona and from Cambridge, and they came and juried the work, and it was quite wonderful to see work from all over and a wide range from plein air to very abstract, sculptural work, and we're planning to do that more and more so that we will be seen as a place to really come to see art again, which I think Rockport Art Association was.
Exactly, yeah.
Beautifully put. Well, if people want to learn more about the Art Association Museum, how can they do that, Heidi?
They can go on our website. We have a calendar there that's being updated. There's contact information, so it's Rockport ASSN.org. You can Google Rockport Art Association and Museum.
And if you're following on Facebook too, you have a page there as well. People can start following you
Facebook
there
page,
too.
Instagram,
Yeah.
and we have over 40 art shows a year. We have workshops for everybody.
You have workshops happening right now, right?
We do.
Yeah,
Throughout
yeah.
the year, we have figure classes, we have watercolor classes, oil painting classes. We go to Denmark and demonstrate as artists. And
It's great. It's a great, it's just a wonderful center for our artist community, right?
And even this Sunday, we're having a pop-up show from Creative Community where 80 people came together and painted for the last month on Sunday and Monday. And it was open to anybody, and we set up still lifes, 15 still lifes, and we'll have probably 100 works up on exhibit for 2 hours.
This Sunday.
Yeah, it's a
That's
pop-up art
great.
show.
That's
Amazing.
great.
And we have people from Melrose here, North Andover,
Wonderful.
Peabody, Melrose. Yeah.
It'll be fun to stop in and see.
Aren't you glad you came across the street, Heidi, to join us?
I am. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for
really-
the time. We appreciate you.
And we hope to do a show there
Yes.
at some
Yeah,
point.
we would love to have you come see what's inside the walls.
That'd be wonderful.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right.
Heidi
Thank you so much.
Caswell-Zander from the Rockport Art Association Museum. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Have a
See
great
you soon.
day. Beautiful. So, guess what? Melanie Waddell is here, and she is on the clock.
All right, we have to
she's
hurry
on a
along.
serious time crunch.
Yeah.
What's up, Melly Mel?
Hi guys.
How you doing?
Melanie.
Good. How are you?
Welcome back to Now We're Here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be back.
Okay, so the Winter's Market, right? Is this what we're talking about?
Yeah, you talked to Sarah earlier.
She touched us off. Yeah, we touched upon the subject.
Gave you
but-
some highlights.
Yeah.
The first one is February 8th, and we have another one March 14th.
Oh, great.
In the building where people used to go to Studio Crepe. I don't know
Right.
if, did you ever get there?
At Crepe?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be in there.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're excited to be in a, local, another awesome
This
location.
is the standalone building.
Yeah,
but
old
beside
Smith
the whistle
lumber.
top. Oh, yeah,
Right. It
exactly.
says for lease on the outside, but I'm sure that sign will be gone.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah, right. For the,
I mean, we'd love to stay
market.
there for a while, but
Yeah, that'd be great.
at the same
That'd be
time,
great.
people will be able to get visibility to it. So.
Yeah.
So what are some of the components of this year's
the
winter,
vendors?
of this winter's market?
Yeah, we have a new one this year called Scrub It, and she has body butters and lotions, and she's using all different natural herbs and stuff and integrating. So it's chemical-free body products. For our food vendors, we have You know Justin Chase? You've been down to the farmer's market,
Yeah.
Arrowhead Farm. Well, he bought a new farm. It's called northofboston.farm.
I've heard about this.
Yes.
So in the past week, I heard about this.
Yes. So he's coming down with northofboston.farm.
.farm?
.farm.
Wow, I didn't know you could do that.
So it was a little hard to look up. So if anybody's trying to look it up on Google or anything, that's how you find it.
.farm.
Yeah. So he'll be down doing produce and goods like that. Seaview Farm will be around. They'll have grass-fed beef. So there'll be our food vendors as
love
far as
Ken
fresh.
Lane and company, yeah.
Yeah,
Right. We have Dancing Daisy Cookie Company. She always has whoopie pies and cookies and cakes. Hall to Heaven. I don't know if anybody's tried Hall to Heaven. It's a tahini candy.
Yes, it's amazing.
She has a new peanut butter flavor that she's raving about.
Halva.
It's in a gold bag, so it's super special. Breakwater Roasters will have coffee beans and coffee on hand.
Great.
Becca's Bangin' Butter. She does almond butter in a regular flavor and also coconut. And she was down at our holiday market that was down at the Baptist Church
Yep.
and it was a big hit. So we're happy to have her back. Spicy Shark, hot sauces, hot maple syrup.
Oh,
Right?
That's a cool idea.
now we're talking.
Yeah.
Hot honey.
Smart.
Yeah, put a little more heat in your tea, I guess.
Yeah.
Who else do we have? Laura Lee's Country Kitchen.
I know Laura Lee, yep.
Yep, she'll be down with her jams and her jellies. And we still have, I think we have a couple more vendors that we're talking with.
Oh,
so,
good.
And the list should grow, so that's where we're starting with right now.
Okay.
We're hoping to have a musical entity at both. We're potentially going to have some high school jazz students. We're looking to firm that up.
Nice touch.
There's a lot of music around here. A lot of musicians.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
musicians.
Yes.
I heard you have a special one coming on today, or has been and is coming back.
Yes, right, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, did you? Unless you want to stick around and sing, did you do that for us, Mel?
Nobody wants me to do that.
I do. No?
Yeah, no. So if you're interested in learning more about the market or keeping up to date with the vendors, we add them on social media, whether it be Instagram or Facebook. We also are always
Rockport Exchange?
RockportExchange.org. There are links there if you want to become a vendor. It's somebody who makes or grows their own food-based product.
Perfect.
And we also have links there for volunteers and musical vendors. So
Great.
if you're interested in joining the Rockport Exchange in any capacity, you can find more information on our website.
Yeah,
There you
you
go.
guys do so much. You need a lot of help.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We appreciate all the help we get. So
Yeah.
thank you guys.
You got to get back to work now?
I do.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
thanks for joining us. This
Thanks
is
for
cool.
having me on.
And so, one more time, the first date now for the Winners Market
February
is?
8th is next Saturday,
Yep.
and then we'll have another one March 14th.
There you go.
Yeah,
Thanks,
we'll see
Melanie
you then.
Waddell.
Come on down. Thanks,
Okay,
guys.
Bye-bye. Have a great day.
You too.
Melanie Waddell, also of the Rockport Exchange, and telling you all about the Winners Market at that new spot. Well, it's the old spot, but it's a new
Right, but it's a
new
great
venue for
spot.
there,
It's a
yeah.
great place for a market. Should be there all the time.
We shall see.
That's my feeling.
Yeah.
So I think we have another guest who will talk to us
big
about
Les is
Rockport
here.
history.
Good morning. Good
How are you, Les?
Bartlett.
Hi, Heather. Hi,
Yeah.
Cora. Good to see you.
Great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Indeed.
Yeah. So we would love for you to tell us about one of my favorite Rockport institutions, which is the Sandy Bay Historical Association.
Sure can. So, the Sandy Bay Historical Society is housed up at 40 King Street on what was the Sewell Scripture House. It was built by Levi Sewell, 1832. So, in the midst of things changing and going all over the place, it's going to be there when the earthquakes come, when the water comes.
It's a beautiful granite
Yeah.
home.
When you
But
look at it,
Is it Georgian? That's
no,
where I
it was
stumbled.
built in 1832.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's big pieces of granite before they had derricks, and somehow he lifted them up into position.
Wow.
Yeah, so
it's
that's
beautiful.
it is. You know, I first walked into the museum in 1998, and I've walked in almost every day since, 22 years on. And every day I walk in, it's a miracle and a blessing. for
And it's
what's
also
there.
on the National Registry of Historic Places,
It is
I believe,
indeed.
right? Yeah.
So, in the midst of all these great people you've been talking with this morning, I describe this society as history fluid, meaning everything is there that brings names back from the past into the present and connects us with so much of daily life, which I think is really important. That means it's sort of like an infinitely expanding box. You walk in and you can always find some other topic, some other thing that hasn't been looked at before.
I think I would like to add, I think a lot of very important people have lived in Rockport.
Yep.
That people may not realize how important they were, and many of them have left their objects, their pictures, their writings
sure.
to the society, the historical society. So
Yeah.
there's a lot there.
The origins of it is really connects to that, in that the society was founded in 1925 by Marshall Howard Seville. So now let's rewind time to 1892, when Marshall Howard Seville is 22 years old. His father is a railroad clerk. And in 1922, when we have this letter, Marshall Howard Seville writes a letter to his father asking his father's permission to go on the train to go to Harvard to attend a course in archaeology. Now, what's striking is, in our time frame, there's no one asking permission for anything, right? It just goes out there as an Instagram or Facebook or what it might be. So he is writing this letter. Not only does he go, he gets there, he gets a 4-year scholarship, becomes the foremost collector of Central American artifacts, and in 1925, he sees that Rockport's connection to its past is fragile. People are putting things away in drawers and they're forgetting it. And he founds the Historic Society. And for 4 years, they're from house to house until they get to the community house in 1929. They're there until 1957 when they get to the Sewell Scripture House. And so it's a story of incredible volunteers that have family connections, historic connections, where we're all dealing with things that come in that maybe people don't know how they connect. Or as I say with Gwen, who's the real old timer there, every piece of paper that comes in resets the calculation for history. We know more about another person, we know more about another object.
We should put a cheer out for Gwen Stevenson,
Yeah.
who runs the
Hi, Gwen.
archives there. Yeah, thank you, Gwen,
It's a
for all
shout
you
out.
do. Yeah.
And a shout out to Ingrid Brown, who's the daughter of Marshall Swan, who wrote the last big history of Rockport. Shout out to all the volunteers. And Marshall Howard Seville's great-grandson, Randy Seville, is now the president.
No way.
Yeah, he is.
Oh,
yeah.
that's
He came
very
in.
cool. So I think you brought a little
I
something,
did.
right?
I brought one thing. I have the nickname of Ebenezer the Squirrel because of going around and finding things. So what I brought.
Now,
and
was
I'll
this
hold it
an
up.
object from
This
the
is an
Historical
object.
Society?
Yeah. In the Historic Society, we have every artifact from Dogtown. And as we know, Dogtown's a hot button issue. Leave it alone, do this, don't do that. We don't want people to come in. What people don't know is the whole story of how artifacts came out of the cellar holes. Because, of course, by 1830, no one's living there.
The cellar holes. Could you just describe what a cellar hole is?
Okay, really simple. If you build a house without a foundation, you got a cellar. Typically, it's a dirt cellar. After you get living in it, it collapses because it doesn't have a wooden or cement stone foundation. And that's what happened in Dogtown. There was not enough area to be able to build foundations. And the houses eventually all fall apart. It's unique in America as being one of the few colonial towns that have never been developed. Okay? So in the 1930s, getting artifacts out was a really big deal. This is from the cellar hole 23 of Peter Lurvy.
Unless I can actually.
You can do it. You can,
David,
yeah.
maybe, or-
So it's a pewter spoon.
That's beautiful.
Now, this is date-wise somewhere around 1740, 1750.
Wow.
1850, 1950. So you're holding something that's over 260 years old. Wow. And the story is Peter Lurvy was a fisherman. He lived in Dogtown. He would go down to Gloucester, take the ships out, bring the fish back. Somebody would make soup or stew, and that spoon would be used. And it exists. So this is part of the amazing collection of things that are there.
Right, yeah. There are so many interesting things there. May I see this?
Please.
I wanted to hold that too.
Yeah.
That is it's so heavy.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
pewter. I mean,
That is beautiful.
and it will live longer than us probably.
Right. And it's so interesting how these objects just send you straight back to 1720.
Yeah, I would say rather than sending them straight back, it's like they give feet to coming right into the present.
Yeah.
Because so many decisions are made now without any knowledge of relative thinking. History takes time. As you know, you dig into a topic, you find more and more, and then you make a recipe to how to bring the elements into the present. And what the vibrancy is there, you say, oh my gosh, this is going on at the same time. I mean, in terms of this pewter spoon, what's going to be left here after this all goes down?
Right. So people can go to the Sandy Bay Historical Society and do research, right?
Absolutely. Typically on Mondays, year-round, we're open for research. Special times can be added to that, knowing ahead of time. And in the summer, we have docents who are open a couple of times during the day, during the week. We've got a website, rockporthistory.org. We have a Facebook page, which is very good on going to see what programs that the museum puts on the Rockport Public Library from April through October.
Right, and they have a series of talks too, don't
That's
are
what I'm
they?
talking
Yeah,
about,
right.
the
That's what
talks.
you. Okay, right, exactly. Great. Well, thank you so much,
You're
and I
most
really
welcome.
encourage people to come go visit the
I
San
know,
Diego
I've seen you
Historical.
there more than once.
I have. I've done some research there, and it's been very helpful.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both.
And anytime you get to talk to Les, I mean, it's a
I know.
learning experience. It's a
That's-
college
Heather.
course
Yeah, we
unto
need to
itself.
have you again, Les,
too, dear.
because you have so
Bye.
many
Thanks for spending time with us, Les. We
Thanks.
really appreciate
Bye
it.
for now.
We'll see you soon. Les Bartlett from the Sandy Bay Historical Society.
Yeah, I said Association, Society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. We've actually had him at 1620 Studios a few times just to chat
Yeah.
history, and he's an amazing guy.
He is. And
Encyclopedic knowledge.
But I also, that society is such a gem.
You speak of it glowingly all the time.
I do. Yeah. No, I've been able to do some really good research there. So it's really interesting. So we have our next guest.
Yes.
Is the person who's going to tell us about why this area is so popular that certain beings flock here.
Yeah,
right?
the birding season
birds.
is a big one.
The
here.
birds come here. John Nelson. Nice to see you. I'm
How are you,
Heather.
John? I'm Corey. Thanks for the time today. Really appreciate it.
So you are the author of this book about. Do you want to?
Yes, this is
And I can hold this for you too,
Yeah.
John.
Flight Calls. It's published by the University of Massachusetts Press. Came out in October. So it's a series of essays about birding in Massachusetts, kind of a combination of field experiences, science, history, birds and literature, humor, I hope. So I tried to write a book that would appeal to serious birders, but also appeal to anyone with an interest in birds. So it's not a technical book. I must say it's got 2 chapters on Cape Ann that bring in some Cape Ann history, and I'm honored to follow Les. I just met him today, but we've been chatting. He's a tremendous source of local history.
He really is.
He knows an astonishing amount. So I learned a lot just talking to him.
He's a great guy. Where did your love of ornithology begin? Like, how did that all come about?
Well, I'm a kind of a midlife birder. I played sports until my body gave out, so I didn't become a birder until my 50s. I started bike riding for exercise. I saw some birds. I live in West Gloucester, birds close to home. I couldn't believe these birds existed right here on Cape Ann. It took me a while, but that's what got me started.
What was the first bird that excited you?
I think locally glossy ibis, which aren't here now, but are here every year. They arrive. They're kind of a heron-like bird. They're big birds with long bills.
Do we see them in the salt marsh?
They're in the
summer?
salt marsh.
Essex County Greenbelt, I think I've seen
Yep,
before.
they'd be in Greenbelt, Plum Island, salt marsh around here. They're sort of an iridescent dark green, dark red. They're just stunning looking birds. And when I saw my first one, I thought this bird should be in Africa somewhere, not down the road from my house.
Northeast
in the
Massachusetts, for
Saltmarsh.
sure, right.
So I have read that winter birding on Cape Ann is pretty special. Is that true?
It is. To some folks, it might seem crazy to go out looking for birds in the winter, but Cape Ann is one of the choice spots to look for birds in winter, mostly seabirds. So a lot of bird clubs, like Brookline Bird Club, leads a lot of trips here, Mass Audubon. So we go to sea watching places. So in Rockport, that's Halibut Point, Andrews Point, Cathedral Edge, which are all close together. In Gloucester, the Back Shore, Grass Rocks, Eastern Point, Jodrey Fish Pier. So we're mostly looking for waterfowl, but also gulls. And there are kind of certain birds, probably my favorite is harlequin duck, which is good if you're leading a bird tour because they're extremely reliable. They're from within
So they're
a mile
little
of
ones,
where
right?
we're sitting. They're fairly small ducks.
Yeah, with like a little white
they're
on
named
there.
after a clownish-looking character. They're really beautifully patterned. They're birds that breed in Alaska. They're actually called a torrent duck because they like rough surf. They're daredevils, so you'll
The
see
harlequins breed in Alaska,
They do.
and they migrate to
Yes.
the Atlantic Ocean.
Yes.
Wow,
So,
that's amazing.
A lot of the winter birds we see don't breed here. The waterfowl, they breed further, possibly Alaska, but further north in Maine or in Canada, and they come to this area in the winter.
So what is special about Cape Ann for these migratory winter birds?
The rocky headlands of Rockport are just good feeding areas for those birds. It's finding birds in locations anywhere is about food availability. So I'm not enough scientist to explain it technically, but there's food available for them here.
Right.
And I think, especially the places in Rockport, you can get very close to where the birds are in the water. The harlequin ducks are kind of right there by the rocks.
Right. So it's accessibility for the humans too, makes it good.
That's part of the appeal.
Yeah.
So in your time watching birds in this area, what changes have you seen? Have there been the climatory changes altered the species that are here or leaving? Does it change their patterns?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's partly from personal observations, partly from what I've read, but it's sort of bird by bird. There's some songbirds that are doing well, some seabirds are doing well, but overall the picture is not good, even grim. There was a big publication a couple months ago about just the astonishing number of birds we've lost in North America. Many species are in decline. The main factor is loss of their habitat, whether it's woodlands. Climate change is part of that. Kind of the best source for Massachusetts and locally, Mass Audubon did a series of 3 State of the Birds reports, which are on their website, which just give you kind of bird by bird picture of which species are doing well, which species are in decline. And their most recent report focused on climate change. So there are, one big factor is that songbirds that migrate to the Caribbean or West Indies or South America and come back, climate change is affecting their synchronization. So they're prompted to migrate by changes in light. But they don't know that insects might be breeding earlier because of climate change here.
Interesting.
So they kind of migrate in a way that optimizes their chances of finding food, but that's being disrupted. And that's been well documented. Rising sea level, there's one bird, which is kind of not here in the winter, called the salt marsh sparrow, which breeds only in salt marshes. That bird's in serious trouble because rising sea level is going to drown their habitat. So I've talked to Mass Audubon ornithologist. I asked what's the bird you're most worried about, and he mentioned that one. And it's kind of a specialty bird here because they breed only in salt marsh on the Atlantic coast. So overall, the picture is good.
Pretty precarious situation, yeah.
It is.
Well, we do see bald eagles.
Yes,
right?
That's actually one of the success stories. Bald eagles declined throughout North America because of pesticides, which thinned their eggshells, so their populations were dropping. But Rachel Carson's kind of pioneering book, Silent Spring, about pesticide use, led to restrictions on pesticides. So a number of birds, bald eagles, peregrine falcons, ospreys, which are all kind of beautiful birds with a lot of
Trauma.
sort of drama and lore behind them, have recovered. So there's actually been 2 bald eagles regular at 10-Pound Island in Gloucester Harbor. So
We've been hearing, amazing.
if you want to see a local bald eagle, and that's not the only place, but go down to the boulevard and look out there, and you might see them perched in the trees.
It's the bald eagles, it's the pipium plovers, and it's the snowy owls.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
all those birds have, taken a lot of work by conservationists. Sometimes with a lot of resistance. There was a lot of resistance to closing off beaches, to provide nesting habitat for piping plovers. But this area, they have a limited range, a very limited number of places they breed. If we don't protect them in places like Cape Ann, they'll be gone.
Right, right.
Well, amazing, John. Thanks for spending so much time with us.
And where can people purchase your book?
Yeah, the book, it's available at the bookstore in Gloucester or directly from UMass Press. And I'll give myself a plug if you want more information. I'm giving a talk about the book with a focus on Cape Ann birding Saturday, February 8th, 2 o'clock at the Sawyer Free Library.
Thank you
2
so
o'clock.
much.
Okay, so go to the Winter Farmers Market and then go hear John's talk about birds at the Sawyer Free Library.
There you go.
Great, yeah.
But I'd love to talk with you again, John. I really appreciate it.
Thank you again for coming.
Yeah. Have a great winter. John Nelson. That was fascinating.
That was really interesting.
I love that chat.
I know, I do too. It's just we could have talked a lot longer to him, but we have to leave Rockport.
We have to wrap things up.
Exactly, but not without one more song.
No,
right?
Jake Pardee's coming back and he's going to settle in. We want to thank, of course, Brothers Brew Coffee Shop for having us here today. They were amazing.
And for the donuts.
Ross Brackett and the whole family there, awesome. Sarah Kelly from Rockport Exchange, Laurie Tuck from Tuck's Candy and Gifts, Geof Lyons from the old Sloop Coffeehouse, Heidi Caswell-Zander from the Rockport Art Association Museum, Les Bartlett from the Sandy Bay Historical Society, John Nelson, if you saw Flight Calls, of all about winter birding, and Melanie Waddell, also from the Rockport Exchange, talk about the winter's market. So,
and we want to thank our crew.
Yeah.
Becky Tober, our director, technical director Matt Macon, who's not here right now, but he is usually
he's back
here.
in the studio
And
making sure we're going out live. Yeah.
Right, and our floor director Lisa Smith, her daughter's going to be in Frozen in the O'Malley production. Just got to put a plug in for her. Production assistant Alana Horn has done a wonderful job, and camera David Lufkin, another great job.
Over our shoulder.
Yeah.
Our next Now We're Here shows we're going to be at the Manchester by the Sea Public Library on Thursday, February 13th, the Great Marsh Brewing Company in Essex Monday, February 23rd, back at the Boatwood Hotel in Gloucester, March 20th, and at Hammond Castle for their opening day on April 3rd. So thanks for joining us once again. We will see you soon, or come down and see us at 11 Pleasant Street in downtown Gloucester at the new 1620 studio space. Heather, thanks once again.
Thank you, Corey.
Have a great weekend.
As always, yeah, you too.
We'll see you soon. And Jake Pardee, thanks for being here as well.
Of course.
Yeah. And take us away.
And Jake is performing tonight at Fish Shack.
8 o'clock. So I changed what song I was going to play in the last minute because John was talking about the environment, and I've got a song that has to do with escaping our planet as it's slowly being destroyed by using either a literal spaceship or one in your imagination.
It's a toe tapper. Here we go.
Right.
Jake Pardee.
Said, hey everybody, we know now it's too late. The world is running down a demolition highway. They hope to invent something so they can escape, but they plan to leave the rest of us behind. So I'm flying up into the sky in my own way. I'll be flying to Mars in a rub-a-dub style. And I'm taking anyone that wants to come with me. I said I'll take you with us if you'd wanna come with me. Cause I only wanna live on the earth while the oceans are filled with fish. And I don't want to live on a satellite dish. When the fields once full of life are empty, and the trees once full of songs are silent, when the only news that we hear is violent, the victims are the criminals and thieves are commended. The people, they still want to ingest it. So we stay tuned and we hope to digest it. While I'm flying up into the sky in my own way. I'll be flying to Mars in a rub-a-dub style. And I'm taking anyone that wants to come with me. Said I'll take you with us if you'd wanna come with me. Thanks very much. This is great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for doing this.
Can I eat this donut now?
Oh, you have to fight Lisa Smith for it. There it goes.
Yeah, some.
Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you next time on Now We're
Thank
Here.
you.